Eric Thompson had always seen the world as a place of order, where loyalty among friends and family mattered most. He took pride in being the anchor of his family, diligently working long hours as a project manager at a local construction firm to provide a comfortable life for his wife Jessica and their two children. Their home in a quiet suburb was a reflection of their stable life, filled with laughter, family dinners, and dreams for the future. Yet, beneath the surface of this domestic bliss lay a dark undercurrent, one that would lead Eric to confront a reality he never anticipated. The facade began to crack when Eric discovered a series of texts on Jessica's phone. He had come home early one evening, hoping to surprise her with her favorite flowers. Instead, he found her in the living room, animatedly chatting with a friend about an upcoming trip. An inexplicable aliveness in her voice. Curiosity piqued. He had dared to check the messages. The words were innocuous at first. "Can't wait to see you. I miss you." But as he scrolled, a chilling realization washed over him. It was not a casual friendship. It was a romantic connection with her colleague, Jason Matthews, who was also their neighbor. Feeling the weight of betrayal crush his chest, Eric's first instinct was disbelief. How could the woman he trusted implicitly betray him? Memories flashed through his mind of evenings spent together, the shared secrets and dreams. These moments twisted now, their meaning corrupted by the knowledge of Jessica's deceit. But disbelief quickly morphed into simmering anger, igniting a fierce spark inside him. Eric's heart raced as his mind calculated his next move. He steeled himself, refusing to let this act of betrayal go unpunished. The urge for vindication surged through him, fueling a newfound rage. After confronting Jessica, he intended to turn the tables. With strategic insight and cold determination, he began planning his counterattack. He would dismantle her world piece by piece, ensuring she felt the full weight of her actions. The confrontation with Jessica was explosive. Trying desperately to deflect blame, she protested, "Eric, it's not what you think." But, in the heat of anger, Eric wasted no time. "It's exactly what I think. I've seen the messages, Jessica. You've betrayed everything we built together." Jessica's facade crumbled, her eyes wide with fear and guilt as she realized she was cornered. Instead of apologizing or begging for forgiveness, Eric delivered a calculated ultimatum, making it clear this was not just about a personal betrayal. He would expose her affair to their friends, family, and even colleagues at work. He could already envision their shocked eyes and condescending whispers, the slow yet undeniable realization that their picture-perfect couple was nothing more than an illusion. She pleaded, "Eric, please, let's just talk this out. You know I'm sorry." But Eric had no time for such discussions. He had already made up his mind, a fierce conviction coursing through his veins. He would take back control, and with it, he would obliterate Jessica's world. The very next day, with a heavy heart but a determined spirit, Eric gathered evidence. He demanded access to their joint accounts and discovered that Jessica had been funneling funds to Jason, enabling their escapades. His emotions were a turbulent sea, yet in that chaos, a sense of clarity emerged. The financial betrayal solidified his resolve. He would hit them where it hurts the most. As he compiled his evidence, Eric felt empowered, channeling every ounce of his anguish into meticulous planning. He sought legal counsel, ready to initiate divorce proceedings, and began to mobilize his network. Friends who once respected Jessica would soon see her for who she really was. He reached out to a few close friends, sharing snippets of the betrayal, carefully crafting a narrative that portrayed him not as the victim, but rather as someone who had had the courage to stand against dishonesty. The day of reckoning was drawing closer, and Eric was prepared. He orchestrated a family dinner, inviting friends and colleagues to join them at a local restaurant. Among the clinking of silverware and bubbling laughter, he felt a fierce thrill of anticipation building within him. Everyone settled into their chairs, ready to enjoy a warm meal, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. With Jessica engaged in small talk about their kids and recent vacations, Eric watched closely as she basked in the warm glow of her friend's affection. Moments later, he cleared his throat, capturing the attention of the table. "I have something I need to share with all of you," he announced, his voice steady, yet strained with emotion. Jessica turned pale, the color draining from her face as she sensed the shift in the atmosphere. Eric pulled out his phone, displaying a montage of messages, the undeniable evidence of her betrayal. Gasps erupted around the table, stunned faces turning towards Jessica, whose expression morphed from shock to sheer panic. Eric could see the weight of each conversation settling upon her like heavy chains. Friends stared, some in disbelief, others in the embarrassment of having supported a lie. The laughter that once echoed around them fell silent, replaced by an oppressive tension that left no room for mistakes. "Your loyalty is touching, but my AP excites me more," Eric declared, his words as sharp as a dagger. The public humiliation was swift and merciless. Eric's smirk of satisfaction was the final nail in Jessica's coffin. As he made his exit alongside his stunned friends, he could almost hear the chains fall around Jessica as her world crashed in, a beautiful symphony of poetic justice. The ensuing social ostracism, the whispers behind her back, and the disdainful glances would haunt her. Eric felt an adrenaline-fueled elation surging through him. He had regained control, rising from the ashes of betrayal with a newfound strength. Yet the battle was just beginning. Empowered by the sweetness of vengeance, Eric would not stop until each thread of Jessica's facade lay severed, and he would not rest until the world knew the truth. The fire within him had transformed into a relentless force, and there would be no turning back. The aftermath of the dinner was a whirlwind of emotions for Eric, a heady mix of triumph and anticipation. The power he had reclaimed was intoxicating. Every interaction he had from that point on felt charged with purpose. Friends who had previously seen him as the easygoing husband now viewed him through a lens of admiration, respect, and empathy. The narrative had flipped. Eric was no longer the victim, but the unwilling hero of his own story. He reveled in it, each passing day bolstering his crafting of a fledgling new identity, one that would not be shackled by past betrayals. Jessica, on the other hand, entered a downward spiral. Emails hit his inbox from mutual friends expressing disbelief and sympathy, while whispers of disloyalty followed her in social circles. The fallout was staggering. She had become a pariah, ostracized from groups that were once her core support. Her friends began to side with Eric, some empathizing with his perspective, and others simply shaken by the scandal. It was a vivid illustration of the consequences of betrayal played out in real time. News of Jessica's affair spread like wildfire. Colleagues who had once praised her were now exchanging knowing glances and hushed conversations. Eric made it a point to subtly steer conversations with coworkers towards the affair whenever the opportunity arose, cementing her status as the office disgrace. It was a painful yet cathartic process, this destruction of everything she had built. He looked forward to the moment when he could finally confront Jason Matthews. That day was on the horizon, and Eric could hardly contain his excitement. One fateful afternoon, Eric received a message from Jason. "We should talk. I didn't deserve this." The casual arrogance in Jason's words ignited an all-consuming rage in Eric. He envisioned the smooth facade that Jason wore, only to watch it crack under the weight of Eric's revelation of the affair. But Eric knew better than to give Jason the gratification of thinking he could talk his way out of this. Setting a meeting under the auspices of clarity, Eric called for their confrontation at a local bar, where Jason often bragged about his conquests. As Eric waited, confidence radiated from every fiber of his being. When Jason arrived, clad in a crisp polo shirt and with an air of nonchalance, Eric saw straight through the charade. "Nice to finally meet." "Let's cut to the chase," Eric said, eyes narrowing. Jason smirked, leaning back casually, clearly underestimating Eric. "Look, man, couples fight. It happens." "I thought you two were on the rocks anyway," he replied, his tone dismissive. Eric laughed, the sound cold and devoid of warmth. You thought you could just waltz in without consequences? Let me correct your misconceptions. With that, Eric laid bare the carefully curated evidence: financial documents exposing hidden accounts, messages detailing their intimate escapades, and the consequences that lay ahead for Jason. She's using you, Jason, just like she used me. You really think you're some special prize? You're just a toy. The color drained from Jason's face as he heard the truth laid out before him, the weight of his choices crashing down. Listen, Jason stammered, panic slowly creeping into his tone. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It was just fun. Fun? Eric echoed, allowing himself a moment of satisfaction. You've completely abandoned whatever dignity you had left. You're a joke, a sad, pathetic plaything for her. Have you even considered how this will impact your career? Jason's bravado shattered as Eric pressed on. I could ruin you with one call to your boss. You may think you're clever, but people talk. They know now. Your reputation is in tatters, and it's your own doing. The confrontation ended with Jason's last plea, a desperate attempt to salvage whatever shred of dignity remained. I never wanted this. But Eric was relentless, his laughter ringing hollow in Jason's ears. Too bad. You don't get to dictate the terms anymore. Leaving Jason crushed in his wake, Eric felt the tension release into a deep sigh of relief. With each encounter, he was evolving from the pawn in Jessica's game to the driving force of his own life. The next step was legally severing any ties with Jessica, finalizing their divorce in court. Eric approached the process with meticulous diligence, ensuring he documented every instance of infidelity and financial entanglement. He sought the best legal counsel, confident in his ability to emerge victorious, not merely financially, but in reclaiming his dignity and self-worth. During the court proceedings, Jessica appeared disheveled and rattled. Gone were her previously polished looks. Her eyes were sunken, revealing the stress of her decisions. As Eric sat across from her, they exchanged one last look. It held no warmth, just a stark recognition of what they once had and what had been irrevocably lost. When Eric addressed the judge, his voice was steady, unwavering. I request full custody and equitable distribution of assets, given her actions and clear disregard for our family's well-being. As he detailed her affair and misused finances, the courtroom hung in silence. Jessica's attempts to defend herself fell flat, her pleas dissolving under the weight of the evidence. I was going through a rough time, she'd begun, but it was too late. The scent of betrayal lingered heavily between them. The verdict was swift. The judge ruled in Eric's favor, granting him full custody and a significant settlement. As he walked out of the courtroom with his head held high, a bitter taste of victory filled his mouth. He had taken back his life, his narrative, and the power that was rightfully his. Jessica's pleas for reconciliation met cold indifference from Eric. She reached out to him several times after the judgment, desperate to rekindle what was lost, but Eric's resolve was firm. There's nothing left to mend, Jessica, not for me, and certainly not for you. He could see the dismay and humiliation etched on her face each time he turned her down. In those moments, he understood. Some wounds never heal, and some betrayals leave scars that change the essence of who we are. Months passed, and Eric immersed himself in his children's lives, focused on new beginnings, the lives they would build together from the ashes of the past. But he knew that the world could not simply forget Jessica's betrayal. It took time, but with each interaction, the kids learned that their father's strength came from standing against deception, not accepting it. Finally, the day came when Eric strolled through their neighborhood, a familiar sense of optimism enveloping him. Jessica sat alone on the porch with gaunt features, a woman thoroughly outcast. Eric glanced over, allowing a moment of triumph to wash over him. "No second chances," he called out, relishing the personal triumph. Jessica's eyes brimmed with tears, choking back her humiliation. "Please, Eric, give me a chance to fix this." He smiled, a knowing smile. "Some relationships are irreparable. Goodbye, Jessica." And with that, he walked away, leaving behind the ruins of what had once been a life anchored by betrayal and broken trust. He realized he was free, not just from Jessica and Jason, but from the bitterness of a past that would no longer define him. The scars would always be there, but they would be reminders of both pain and strength, evidence that he rose, stronger and determined as the victor of his own story. With his newfound freedom, Eric Thompson dedicated himself to rebuilding a meaningful life for himself and his children. He embraced the opportunity not only to be a better father, but also to reestablish his identity outside the constraints of his previous marriage. As the seasons changed, so too did Eric, transforming from a man shattered by betrayal into a source of strength and stability for his family. He began establishing a routine with his children, Emily and Jake, enjoying Saturday morning pancake breakfasts, followed by trips to the park. He'd encourage their creativity by setting up art projects in the backyard, painting and playing catch. It was here, amidst laughter and the carefree essence of childhood, that Eric discovered the beauty of simple moments. The more he invested in his children's lives, the less he felt the weight of his past. But even amidst this joy, the shadows of betrayal lingered, particularly during quiet times when Eric would catch himself reflecting on what had been lost. The emotional scars remained, raw reminders of Jessica's treachery. With every smile he brought to his children's faces, he simultaneously battled the urge to dwell on his ex-wife's deceit. Yet each day brought a renewed commitment to not allow her actions to define who he was. As the months rolled on, Eric returned to work refreshed and invigorated, fully committing to his project management role. He found new validation in his career, pouring energy into complex construction projects. His coworkers noticed the change. Eric was faster, sharper, and eager to tackle challenges that once seemed daunting. His rising confidence began to open doors, inviting him to leadership opportunities that only solidified his reputation as a competent professional. But joy and personal triumph often draws the ire of old wounds. That ire found its mark one fateful evening, when less than a dozen people gathered at his colleague Matt's house for a casual get-together. The air was filled with casual laughter and chit-chat, but it soon became clear that the topic of discussion would drift toward marital affairs and questionable fidelity, tension rippling beneath the joviality like an undercurrent. Matt, perhaps unaware of the gravity behind the thinly veiled commentary, jokingly declared, "Eric, you're the king of comebacks after that fiasco with Jess. You bounced back like a champ. It's inspiring." The room chuckled in agreement, but Eric felt an itch of discomfort climb up his spine. Jason Matthews was also in attendance. He had peacefully faded into the background since the fallout, but had refused to be forgotten entirely. Faced with the dilemma of urban parenting and shared social circles, their eyes met, and a smirk crept across Jason's lips. "Hey, Eric," Jason began, addressing the elephant in the room with a mocking tone. "I see you've taken the high road, but how does it feel to throw your marriage into the gutter?" A hush fell over the crowd as Eric's blood boiled, and he felt the familiar flames of resentment ignite within him. Jason was attempting to regain a foothold in the social hierarchy, but Eric wouldn't allow it. Without a moment's hesitation, he stood tall, eyes narrowing at Jason. "It feels great, Jason. Unlike you, I'm no longer stuck in the gutter, trying to escape the trash I've created." The murmurs of the gathering shifted uneasily, some encouraging laughter, while others braced themselves for the storm brewing. It was a calculated risk, but Eric knew he had to reclaim his narrative. The facade of Jason's charm was about to shatter. "Funny," Eric continued, voice steady and firm, "how someone with no morals attempts to preach to others. How's it feel to be both a pariah and a punchline?" Jason's grin faltered, but Eric pressed on. "Now, don't worry. With time, I'm sure you'll find someone who's just as morally bankrupt as you." The room's atmosphere thickened as Eric's piercing words hung in the air, twisting the proverbial knife deeper into Jason's pride. After a moment of silence, a few friends among the group chuckled nervously, while others glanced at one another, acknowledging the clear hierarchy shift taking place. Jason opened his mouth to retort, but Eric interrupted, "Do you remember how you thought you could win Jessica's affection over me?" Look where that got you. Nowhere. Jason's complexion turned red as anger boiled beneath the surface, but he couldn't muster a proper reply. Eric felt liberation in exposing Jason's fragility to their peers, stripping away layer after layer of bravado until they laid bare the truth. This moment marked a remarkable shift. He realized that owning his past had liberated him from its grasp. As Jason retreated, navigating through the crowd with lowered eyes, Eric found solace in the camaraderie around him. They surrounded him with encouragement, proof that he had the support to rise above. The evening unfolded in a more positive direction as they laughed, shared stories, and honored Eric's newfound journey. Weeks passed, and the mundane became remarkable for Eric and his children. In mid-July, the trio embarked on a camping trip to the woods near Lake Tahoe, establishing new traditions filled with laughter and adventure. They set up tents, roasted marshmallows, and gazed at stars while sharing stories, newfound bonds solidifying among them. Each memory fabricating the infrastructure of their healing family unit, a sanctuary of love forged through resilience. On one particular evening, with the sun slowly setting behind the trees, casting golden glimmers across the lake, Eric enjoyed watching his children play nearby, their laughter dancing through the air. Memories of his former life felt like distant echoes now, faded and dimmed. He turned to the future, eager to build a life rooted in transparency, pursuit of shared happiness, and self-respect. Outside influences, negativity, and betrayal no longer bound him. He was the architect of this new, vibrant existence that held promise. Each mountain he climbed within his personal journey brought him closer to a man he admired. And just as the sun dipped below the horizon, filling the woods with a warm embrace, Eric found himself looking forward, not just to the future, but to every uncharted adventure yet to come. He had found himself again, a stronger version of the man who had once been adrift, and he was ready to live fully, without reservations, simmering with the kind of strength that only hardship can forge. In every moment of laughter from his children, in their eyes filled with joy, Eric saw reflections of thorough healing. Grief transformed into empowerment. From the loss had risen an indomitable spirit, one witnessing the resurgence from betrayal to triumph. It was in this realization that Eric knew he was ready to face the world anew, leaving behind the shadows of his past forever. As the summer days turned into the crisp air of fall, Eric Thompson felt a sense of renewed purpose deep within him. He had weathered the storm of betrayal, and now, with every passing week, he grew more resolute in his commitment to fostering a stable and loving environment for his children. A newfound sense of clarity infused his daily life, prompting him to engage actively in the local community while nurturing his own strengths. With the encouragement of his friends, Eric took on leadership roles in various community projects. He volunteered at the local youth center, mentoring kids who were struggling in school and providing them with guidance where he once felt lost. It offered him a profound sense of fulfillment, the kind built from helping others navigate their own challenges. The love he cultivated at home began to extend outward, forming connections that reinforced his own journey toward healing. However, lingering shadows occasionally appeared. One September afternoon, while attending a local community event, Eric unexpectedly crossed paths with Jessica. She was with a group of neighbors, laughter catching in her throat when their eyes met. The moment stretched endlessly as emotions flared. Resentment danced with nostalgia. The vibrant, boisterous woman he had known felt like a ghost now, an echo of memories, both sweet and bitter. Jason stood beside her, oblivious to the weight of the tension that suddenly enveloped them. "Oh, look, the happy divorcee graces us with his presence," he quipped, invoking a collective gasp among those nearby. The barb had more punch than he intended, but he was fishing for a reaction, as always. Eric took a deep breath, grounding himself in the sense of personal power he had forged in the aftermath of their betrayal. "Funny how you're still clinging to the past, Jason," he shot back, barely pausing. "One would think you'd have gotten over the embarrassment by now." Gasps erupted among their peers, and Eric controlled the surge of satisfaction coursing through him. The feeling was a testament to his growth. He would not be toyed with again. He chose to rise above their taunts, a silent vow echoing in his heart. He wouldn't allow their toxicity to seep back into his life. Jessica attempted to interject, her voice shaky as she said, "Eric, can we please just talk? I've been trying to reach you." Every ounce of composure Eric had cultivated felt fragile in that moment. He shook his head subtly, a firm decision crystallizing within him. "Talk? What is there left for us to discuss? You made your choices clear, and I'm living well without the weight of your betrayals." He could see the pain behind Jessica's facade as the reality washed over her, revealing the depth of their estrangement to those around them. The lingering traces of her former self flickered like dying embers on her face, and for an instant, Eric felt a twinge of empathy. But he quickly extinguished it. There would be no room for misplaced sympathy today. Turning away from them, Eric walked on, determined to exist in the sphere he had built, far from the tangled ruins of his past. He focused on the lively atmosphere, engaging with friends and immersing himself in conversations that sparked genuine interest and joy. Yet, the encounter planted seeds of insecurity that would sprout later, a stark reminder that remnants of old relationships could continue to haunt even amidst the progress made. Days turned into weeks, and while Eric thrived in his new role as a community leader, he often replayed the moment with Jessica and Jason in his mind. Anytime thoughts of despair crept in, he battled against them, conjuring the determination that had pulled him from darkness. The simple mantra kept surfacing: focus on what truly matters. As the October leaves started to turn, Eric found himself anchored by his purpose. His children began performing well in school, their enthusiasm palpable when showcasing their educational progress. The success stories they shared during dinner illuminated the table. Jake's improved grades and Emily's accolades for her art projects became the fabric of their nightly discussions. One cool autumn evening, while tucked into blankets and sipping hot cocoa, Eric felt a surge of pride swelling in his chest. "I'm so proud of both of you for working so hard," he declared, their faces beaming in the warm light of the living room. The laughter and chatter seemed endless, echoing through the halls of their home like the cherished memories they were creating together. Suddenly, in the midst of their relaxed banter, Emily asked, "Dad, can we have a family Halloween party this year? I want to invite some friends." The request sparked a flicker of nostalgia within Eric, recalling the festive family affairs they used to hold when everything felt right. "Absolutely. We'll decorate the house, make treats, everything." He saw his children's eyes light up in excitement, and a beautiful wave of warmth enveloped him. The planning for the Halloween celebration quickly took shape, filled with creativity and laughter as they decorated the house, carved pumpkins, and prepared spooky treats. Eric took charge of crafting a vast haunted house in the backyard, the grand enterprise of delight that overshadowed the haunting shadows of past holidays spent in the company of betrayal. On the night of the celebration, friends from the community arrived, adorned in costumes that brought joy and laughter. As Eric walked through the combined nightmare and fantasy he had created, he felt a sense of pride swell in him. This was his victory, not just over Jessica and Jason, but over all the negativity that had threatened to consume him. As he moved through the throng of joyous chaos, Eric caught sight of Jessica through the crowd. She was attempting to make amends with some of the neighbors as they slowly drifted away from her. Instead of trepidation igniting within him, a newfound appreciation filled his heart. This was her truth. With nothing left to prove or hide, he could embrace the past with acceptance instead of resentment. As pumpkin lights flickered against the fall night, Eric stepped outside for a moment of clarity. The moon hung high above, illuminating the evening with an ethereal glow. The crisp air filled his lungs, and in that serene moment, he realized something profound. His past no longer held any weight over his future. With the warmth of newfound relationships illuminating the path ahead, Eric Glenn Thompson stood tall, reveling in his journey. He had emerged not simply from the ruins of a broken heart, but as the architect of a thriving life he had crafted with love and resilience. He understood now that healing came from digging deep into forgiveness, not only of others, but of himself. The echoes of that betrayal, once all-consuming, had transformed into lessons that fueled his growth, leading to a clearer understanding of what it meant to truly live. As the laughter echoed from the funhouse he had created, Eric welcomed the notion that it now lay entirely within his grasp to mold tomorrow into whatever shape he desired. The Halloween party was a rousing success, marked by laughter, creativity, and the delightful chaos of children running about in costumes. Eric reveled in the warmth of the gathering, the ambiance alive with joy and camaraderie. Parents mingled, sharing stories while sipping on mulled cider, creating a vibrant tapestry of community that filled their home with a renewed sense of belonging. As the festivities continued into the night, Eric watched his children interact with their friends, carefree and exuberant. Jake, dressed as a superhero, darted between groups, his laughter ringing through the air like music. Emily, wearing her glittering witch costume, enchanted her friends with tales of spooky adventures. With each moment, Eric felt a swell of pride, knowing he had created this safe haven after the storm of betrayal. Yet, amidst the fun, a singular thought flickered in the back of Eric's mind. Could he truly leave the past behind? The memories of Jessica and Jason lingered, shadowing moments when happiness became tinged with uncertainty. He understood that healing was a journey, and part of that journey required facing those shadows head-on. After a while, he stepped out onto the porch, seeking a moment of clarity under the clear, starry sky. The cool night air felt refreshing, invigorating, in a way that called for reflection. Just then he spotted Emily stepping through the doorway, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Dad, come back in. We're about to start the costume contest," she urged, bouncing on the balls of her feet. "All right, I'm on my way," he called back, allowing his worries to melt away for the moment. He returned inside, immersing himself in the warmth and laughter, temporarily pushing aside the complexities that swirled in his mind. The costume contest unfolded with children parading in front of their friends, showcasing creativity and bravery. Eric clapped proudly as each child took their turn, and a wave of nostalgia washed over him. The competitive spirit merged seamlessly with the light-hearted ambiance, each child's performance evoking collective cheers and applause. At the apex of the event, Emily took the stage, craving her moment in the spotlight. She stood at the front with a playful mischief in her eyes, her hands on her hips. "Okay, everyone, I'm about to perform a little dance. I want all of you to join me. Let's get spooky." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and soon the entire room joined in, from the adults to the smallest children, moving to the rhythm of the music. Eric laughed, his heart swelling with pride as he watched his daughter shine, the embodiment of joy and resilience. As the contest came to an end, Eric found himself reflecting on how far he'd come. Despite the shadows that still whispered reminders of betrayal, he had chosen to invest in the present, a present filled with love, laughter, and the unwavering support of those who surrounded him. In the days that followed the Halloween celebration, Eric felt unstoppable. He poured his heart into his relationships, familial and platonic, intertwining them with activities that extended beyond their previous bounds. Whether it was organizing weekend sports games or engaging his neighbors in book clubs, he felt a renewed sense of purpose igniting the spark within him. But as he reveled in this new reality, he remained acutely aware that not all was balanced. Jessica's attempts to reach out had become increasingly frequent, often finding her standing on the fringes of community events. One afternoon, while hosting a potluck, a new tradition inspired by the Halloween celebration, Eric felt the air shift as Jessica made her way into his circle of friends, her presence an unexpected jolt. "Eric," she called, her voice revealing traces of uncertainty. He felt a hot surge of annoyance for a brief moment, but quickly reminded himself to breathe. The atmosphere around them thickened as their friends glanced between them, sensing the electricity of unresolved tension surrounding the table. "I wanted to apologize for my behavior the other night," Jessica began, her eyes searching his. "I didn't intend to bring up the past in that way. I just wanted to reconnect." He weighed her words carefully, recognizing that she seemed genuinely remorseful, a departure from the closed-off persona she wore during the earlier months post-divorce. "Jessica, I understand you want to apologize, but I think it's important for both of us to acknowledge that we've moved on." Her countenance fell briefly, regret flickering across her face, but determination quickly returned. "I know I hurt you, and my choices hurt the kids. I thought if I tried to mend things with you, I could find a way to be in their lives more meaningfully." Eric held her gaze, feeling the tumult of emotions flood his heart. The truth of her presence loomed heavily around them. She wasn't just addressing him, but the life they once shared, one that shattered in betrayal. A sudden idea surged through his mind, a way to turn this encounter into something healthier for both of them. "Perhaps we can find a way to co-parent effectively. The children deserve it, and we owe it to them to put aside our differences, at least for their benefit." Jessica nodded tentatively, her eyes revealing a flicker of hope. "I'd like that, really." The remainder of the gathering returned to a semblance of normality, but Eric couldn't shake the conversation's weight. By acknowledging Jessica's presence, he had calculated a path that would allow both of them to navigate their new reality. It was a significant step toward healing, not only for him, but for his children, too. As the weeks unfolded, Eric and Jessica began to engage in a dialogue centered around co-parenting. Were they friends? No, they were still grappling with the remnant echoes of betrayal. But a mutual understanding fostered an atmosphere of collaborative effort, and slowly, things started to shift. They met for coffee bi-weekly to discuss important decisions, turning what could have been contentious interactions into unified conversations about their children's needs. They attended school events together, witnessing Jake's soccer games and Emily's art showcases, reinforcing a new foundation that prioritized their kids above all else. Still, as their co-parenting relationship evolved, shadows of resentment occasionally surfaced. Whenever Eric sensed old wounds threatening to resurface, he took a deep breath and chose to redirect his focus, reminding himself that healing didn't occur linearly. It unfolded through conscious actions and intentions. Moments after their initial conversations began, the children bloomed visibly, blending their joyous laughter with echoes of hope, united as a family, even if redefined. The turning point reflected in their enthusiasm, as well as how the tight-knit community embraced them, supporting a growing environment of love. Eric's journey from victim to victor illuminated every facet of his life, demonstrating that while betrayal could attempt to fracture bonds, resilience and intention could weave together stronger foundations. As winter descended upon the community and snowflakes fluttered down like a blessing from the sky, Eric Thompson stood at the cusp of a new season, not simply moving past the remnants of old relationships, but embarking on a path defined by unity and hope. He had learned that vulnerability didn't equate to weakness, and confronting one's past could forge connections that transcended betrayal. Ultimately, he emerged from the dark corners of heartbreak, not only to find renewal, but to redefine the meaning of family, one rooted in love, respect, and resilience against the odds. Eric left behind the dust of betrayal, continuing forward into a more fulfilling tomorrow. As winter crept in with its chilly embrace, the holiday season approached, bringing a sense of warmth and coziness that infiltrated every corner of Eric Thompson's life. The spirit of togetherness blossomed within his home as he prepared to celebrate not only the holidays, but also the newfound balance in his relationship with Jessica. Their co-parenting efforts seemed to yield tangible results, allowing the children to flourish in an environment where they felt cherished by both parents despite the separation. With Thanksgiving on the horizon, Eric and Jessica planned a family gathering that included bringing both sides of the family together. The thought of blending their experiences, good and bad, felt daunting yet essential. Eric wanted to show the kids that, while their family dynamics had changed, the love and support they could provide one another remained steadfast. In the weeks leading up to the holiday, Eric found solace in shopping for decorations, revisiting old traditions, while intertwining them with new ones. He invited his friends over for a weekend of festive preparation, their shared laughter echoing through the halls as they strung the lights along the eaves of the house. "Isn't the ever-present holiday cheer just the best?" Matt quipped, draping delightful strands of lights. "We could turn this house into a Christmas wonderland," Eric replied, a smile stretching across his face. That evening, they sipped hot cocoa, reminiscing about past gatherings, sharing lighthearted stories, and even delving into the darker moments when heartache eclipsed happiness. In those moments of camaraderie, Eric could feel the weight of his past lightening, not through erasure, but through acceptance and understanding. As Thanksgiving Day approached, the tension surrounding the preparation began to settle into excitement, a joyful anticipation for the holiday evening to unfold. On the fateful day, as family arrived, the smell of roasted turkey and pumpkin pie filled the air, mingling with the soft laughter of children. Jason Matthews was not invited, yet they could still feel repercussions of his earlier presence. Jessica seemed nervous, casting fleeting glances around the room, but Eric was resolute. This was about the kids, their happiness, and creating an atmosphere filled with warmth and love. After everyone settled down at the table, Eric raised his glass. Here's to family, to resilience, and to gratitude. "I'm thankful for everyone here today. Together, we can create a better future for our children." Cheers erupted around the table, and Eric could see the relief wash over Jessica as the focus shifted toward their common goal, the happiness of Jake and Emily. Together, they forged ahead, encouraging the children to express what they were thankful for this year. "I'm thankful for you, Dad," Emily exclaimed, beaming, her bright eyes filled with joy. "And for our friends," Jake added, enthusiasm spilling from him. As the evening unfolded, the atmosphere lightened, laughter ringing through the air as they shared memories and created new ones. Eric felt a profound gratitude for not only the successes of the day, but also for how far he had come. The potential for renewal flowed through each shared moment at the table, reminding him that familial bonds could transcend the past's pain. As the night wound down, Eric caught a moment alone with Jessica in the kitchen. Amidst the clinking of dishes and after the last remnants of dessert, he turned to her and said, "Thank you for being here today, Jessica. I know it wasn't easy." She seemed surprised, but smiled softly. "I'm grateful too. We did it for the kids." They shared a glance, both understanding that, though their past still lurked in the corners, they were carving out a present built upon their children's needs. "As long as we keep focusing on them," Eric added, his voice steady, "we can ensure they feel supported, loved, and secure." Jessica nodded, her face reflecting a commitment to their new path. That commitment bore its challenges, but moments like these deepened their understanding and ability to cohabit in this revised familial structure. As winter rolled into December, the atmosphere around them transformed. Decorations sparkled, and the world felt wrapped in a blanket of snow. The sense of nostalgia flooded back to Eric as they prepared for Christmas, filling his heart with bittersweet memories, yet rich with hopeful promise for the future. One particularly snowy evening leading up to the holiday, Eric found himself with the kids sitting snugly in their living room, where the aroma of gingerbread filled the air. They lounged together, embarking on decorating their Christmas tree, a tradition that Eric had always cherished. Jake and Emily's childish laughter washed over him as they competed to place the final ornaments on the branches, vying for a sense of accomplishment. Suddenly, an idea flashed within Eric. "Why don't we invite Jessica to decorate the other half?" he suggested. The children lit up at the prospect of a united celebration. "Can we, Dad? That would be awesome," Emily exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. He sent a quick text to Jessica, inviting her to join in on the festive chaos. As she arrived and stepped through the front door, an unmistakable hesitance lingered in the air. Yet Eric felt a flicker of hope. The atmosphere was charged but hopeful. They laughed together as they arranged the ornaments, allowing the imperfections to become part of the charm of the gathering. The colors combined in chaotic brilliance across the tree, embodying a blend of their past and what was to come. Later that evening, as the trio of children sat back to admire their work, Eric realized that this moment, the blending of old and new traditions, was vital for forging their new family narrative. Through these shared experiences, it became clear that healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant weaving a story with resilience at its core. Eric also witnessed moments of vulnerability emerge within Jessica, allowing her to share her perspectives more openly. They chuckled about holiday mishaps from their past. Self-deprecating humor emerged like a balm, dissolving long-held tensions and reminding them both of the love that had once existed. By the time Christmas arrived, their new foundation felt solid. The celebrations blended seamlessly, embracing the spirit of unity. Gifts exchanged, laughter erupted, and beautiful moments unfolded among the competing presents and children's squeals of delight. In front of the fireplace, a comfortable silence enveloped them as Eric noticed how effortlessly they navigated through the day. The culmination of months of effort yielded tangible results not only for the children, but for themselves as individuals. Progress looked different now, a relationship founded on mutual respect and shared responsibility. Later that evening, when the last gift had been opened and the children began drifting off to a sugar-induced sleep, Eric found himself reflecting on his journey. He marveled at how far he had come from navigating the unsteady waters of betrayal to now standing on solid ground. As he watched the flickering flames dance in the fire, he recognized that, while shadows of the past still lingered, he had reclaimed his narrative. The journey ahead lay before him, bound to be filled with challenges, but they felt surmountable now. After all, he had tasted the sweetness of triumph. Perhaps the most profound achievement was the understanding that the family he had always wanted was within reach. It was forever changed, yes, but no less significant. As he snuggled into the warmth of these new connections, he looked forward to the bright future that awaited him, filled with hope, love, and a deep-seated resilience to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As January slipped silently in, the excitement of the holidays ebbed away, replaced by the crispness of a new year filled with potential. Eric Thompson welcomed 2023 with a heart full of gratitude, recognizing how much had shifted in his life. With each passing day, he began envisioning the kind of father he wanted to be, the aspirations that lay ahead, and the opportunities that awaited his children. The winter months brought about a continued commitment to investing time in his friendships and community. Eric organized family game nights with his neighbors, inviting children and parents alike for evenings filled with laughter, competition, and bonding. These nights became a staple of their community, reinforcing the sense of togetherness he had longed for. Each game played not only illuminated the values of teamwork and sportsmanship, but also served as vital reminders for himself and others about resilience and support. The children thrived within the community fabric, forming friendships and solidifying connections that eased their transition through the changes they had undergone. Eric witnessed Emily growing increasingly confident, her artistic talent blossoming, while Jake forged friendships that mirrored the balance Eric wished to create for them. One snowy Saturday afternoon, during a planned game night, Eric watched as the kids gathered together, their energy contained within a whirlwind of joyous laughter. With Emily painting a mural of winter scenes and Jake challenging his friends to a spirited game of Monopoly, he couldn't help but smile at the genuine happiness radiating throughout the house. In the midst of the lively atmosphere, Eric noticed Jessica at the periphery, helping with snack preparations and laughing with the children. Approaching her, he felt a newfound camaraderie blossom. "Looks like they're having a blast," he remarked, gesturing toward the spirited chaos within their living room. "They seem so happy," she replied, a soft smile gracing her face. "I'm glad we're doing this." "It feels different, but good. That's the goal," Eric said with conviction, sensing that their collaboration as co-parents was well rooted in the shared laughter and life they were fostering together for their children. As the night progressed, Eric led the children through a series of team-based games, each round culminating in boisterous exclamations from the kids and endearing moments reflecting generosity. Eric couldn't help but revel in the success of the evening. His heart swelled with appreciation for the laughter and warmth they had managed to preserve. As the evening wound down, Eric found himself reflecting on his relationship with Jessica once again. Through the shared responsibilities and consistent communication, he felt a tentative but encouraging shift. They navigated the ups and downs of co-parenting gracefully, even finding humor amidst the challenges, an unmistakable sign of progress in their journey. Weeks rolled by, and February brought with it the arrival of Valentine's Day, a time of love, kindness, and reconnecting. Eric had taken it upon himself to plan special surprises for their children, emphasizing the importance of affection and understanding in relationships. He envisioned a day that celebrated not just romantic love, but a deeper appreciation for familial bonds. He collaborated with Jake and Emily to create handmade cards and heartfelt gifts, igniting their creativity while embedding values of love and gratitude into their activities. They spent an afternoon crafting colorful cards and little treats, revealing their pure excitement over exchanging tokens of appreciation with their friends and one another. On Valentine's Day, Eric initiated a family breakfast laden with sweets, a medley of heart-shaped pancakes and strawberries drizzled with syrup. As Jake and Emily entered the dining room, their faces lit up with delight, an exhilarating start to the day steeped in affection. In the spirit of kindness, they exchanged their homemade cards and gifts, enveloped in hugs and laughter. One particularly special card caught Eric's attention. It was from Emily, adorned with sparkling stickers and sweetly scribbled notes. "Dad, I love you so much. You are my favorite hero." Overwhelmed with emotion, Eric felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. The magnitude of his journey, the transformation forged through love and resilience, all coalesced in that single sentiment. "Thank you, sweetheart. You are my joy, and I'm so proud of you." When it came time for school, they donned their winter gear, setting off for another day filled with memories. The kids held hands, chattering excitedly about their friends and celebrations planned at school. As they walked, Eric recognized that he had built a solid relationship, not just with his children, but also a new understanding with Jessica, a partnership forged in love for their kids. As Valentine's Day festivities continued to unfold throughout the week, Jessica invited Eric for a casual coffee, an unexpected gesture of goodwill with the winter sun shining brightly. Curious but hopeful, Eric agreed. It felt strange yet welcome to step outside their carefully guarded boundaries, but perhaps it was the next step in their evolving dynamic. In the quaint cafe situated downtown, they talked openly, trading stories about their lives since the divorce and sharing aspirations for their children's future. Eric could see Jessica opening up, shedding remnants of bitterness and regret for the first time. It dawned on him that healing was an iterative process, one built not only on words, but through shared experiences. "What do you hope for this year?" Jessica asked, her expression genuine and contemplative. "I want to foster a sense of stability and love for our kids. I want them to feel secure, regardless of the external changes." A silence enveloped them, a moment to ponder their joint aspirations as co-parents. "I think we can do that," she replied earnestly. "Maybe we can plan some more family activities, holidays, outings, build a legacy for them." He nodded, acknowledging their mutual goals while cherishing the peaceful spirit that surrounded them. It felt as though they reached a gentle truce, creating a shared understanding that would lead to a better life for Jake and Emily. As the season shifted towards spring, the fresh blossoms emerged, paralleling Eric's evolution alongside Jessica. They began working hand in hand to coordinate joint plans for the children, reinforcing their commitment to being present and supportive. The sight of flowers blooming in the garden mirrored their promising collaboration, finally blossoming into a partnership that embraced co-parenting's challenges and victories. With each passing season, They embraced their new lives while cultivating an air of respect and understanding. As the cycle of seasons continued, Eric felt a lasting sense of hope emerge, preparing to face the future with confidence, knowing relationships would always transform, evolve, and carry forward in light. He had learned that resilience is rooted deeply in acceptance, and that sometimes the person who hurt you the most could become your ally in healing. Love, forgiveness, and newfound respect shaped Eric's journey, propelling him into an empowered future where possibilities were boundless. The triumph over adversity laid a solid foundation for the life he envisioned, illuminating paths for his children that embraced strength, courage, and an inherent capacity for growth. In every interaction, every laughter shared, Eric knew that the legacy he was crafting would serve as a testament to personal transformation and the enduring strength to build new beginnings with the love they once knew. He welcomed each day as an opportunity, a chance to redefine not only his narrative, but also the relationships that shaped their lives forever. As spring broke through winter's chill, Eric Thompson felt invigorated by the sense of renewal that surrounded him. The world outside mirrored the blossoming changes within him and his family, each day bringing forth new life, new opportunities, and newfound hope. With each passing day, he embraced his role as a devoted father, learning the beauty of co-parenting alongside Jessica, each cooperative venture forging a stronger bond grounded in respect. Together, they orchestrated a series of family outings that allowed Jake and Emily to flourish within their environments. From trips to the local science museum to weekend hikes in nature, he witnessed the children thrive, a fusion of joy evident in their laughter, their spirits lighter than they had been in months. Perhaps the most profound experience they shared came during a spring carnival hosted in their community. Eric had decided it was time to dive into something a bit more adventurous, planning a day filled with games, rides, and the spark of candy floss-laden nostalgia. The decision came with hesitant excitement, especially given the opportunity it presented for the kids to see their parents work harmoniously in a public setting. As they entered the carnival, the vibrant colors and excited chatter enveloped them, a cacophony of sounds and scents that triggered a rush of carefree euphoria. Jake and Emily instantly darted towards the first game stand, excitedly vying for the chance to win a giant stuffed bear. Eric watched, a warm smile spreading across his face as he turned to Jessica. "Remember when we brought them here for the first time?" he recalled lightly. Jessica nodded. "I do. It feels like ages ago." Her eyes held a wistfulness, but this time it was accompanied by laughter, not sorrow. They mingled among the festivity, embracing the spirit of cooperation as they cheered on the kids, their competitive nature spilling over into laughter as they won prizes in every booth. The slight tension that had previously marked their interactions now felt like nostalgia itself, transformed through shared experiences. The carnival brought forth deeper connections, not just as parents, but as two individuals who once shared a life intertwined with dreams and aspirations. As the day wore on, they took a break, settling on a grassy knoll to enjoy cotton candy while the carnival lights illuminated the evening sky. The atmosphere brimmed with laughter and delight as other families reveled in the festivities. A profound sense of connection filled the air, and glimpsing Emily snuggled against Jessica while sharing their sweets, Eric felt a warmth extend deep into his heart. "Thanks for doing this," he said, breaking through the sounds of merriment. "It's nice to share this with the kids." "I've enjoyed it too," she replied, her tone earnest. "I miss these moments, seeing them happy together." As they sat surrounded by the noise and laughter, Eric felt a sense of clarity wash over him. The healing process had always involved navigating lost connections. Perhaps it was time to redefine the means by which they communicated their intentions, their respect for each other blossoming under their shared commitment to their children. That night, the air filled with the scent of popcorn and fried dough as they continued to roam the carnival grounds. They ventured onto rides, reliving the joy of childhood as they screamed and laughed together. Each interaction was testament to their resilience, weaving moments of growth, forgiveness, and camaraderie thicker than any power struggle had ever been. As the festivities began to wind down, Eric spotted a booth that caught their attention, a photographer capturing families against playful backdrops, their natural joy immortalized in pictures. "Shall we?" he asked, sensing the hesitation in Jessica's eyes. With a slight pause, she glanced back at the kids, who were already pleading to have their photograph taken. "Why not?" she finally agreed, allowing herself to embrace the experience. The camera clicked as they posed together, each frame encapsulating the love and laughter they shared. Every flash seemed to encapsulate the beauty of their journey, one that had pivoted from resentment to cooperation, from sorrow to joy. As spring progressed into summer, Eric remained focused on cultivating a nurturing environment for his children. He prioritized their well-being, actively engaging with their interests in schooling, ensuring they felt valued and loved. He collaborated with educators to ensure their needs were met, enveloping them in support at every turn. During one particularly sweltering June afternoon, Eric received an unexpected phone call from his friend Matt, a local high school teacher looking to mentor aspiring students through summer programs. "We're looking for volunteers, Eric. Would you consider joining? It could be beneficial for the kids and offer them some hands-on experience." The idea resonated with Eric. It offered a tangible way to extend the values of compassion and teamwork that he had integrated into his own life. He pondered aloud. "It sounds fantastic, but I want to engage the kids in the process. They should experience the joy of giving back. Bring them along. It could lead to something wonderful," Matt encouraged, his enthusiasm infectious. Taking his friend's advice, Eric discussed the opportunity with Jake and Emily over dinner. "What if we helped at a summer camp for kids who don't have opportunities like us?" he proposed. Their eyes lit up at the prospect, eager to be part of something meaningful. "As long as we get to play games, I'm in," Jake added, his excitement clear. Emily nodded, already envisioning the artistic projects they could introduce. Soon, they prepared for the summer camp, planning engaging activities and eagerly collecting supplies while fostering excitement in their hearts. As the days unfolded, the trio found themselves immersed in a summer filled with lessons and laughter, as they contributed monthly to the program. Every Saturday, they volunteered alongside other families, planting seeds of connection between diverse backgrounds. A tapestry of experiences that culminated in friendship, support, and camaraderie. Parents conversed, children played, and bonds grew, transcending the existing boundaries that once confined them to their respective narratives. In those moments of active engagement, Eric felt empowered. He reveled in seeing Jake and Emily develop empathy and gratitude through their efforts, understanding the significance of social responsibility and the power of compassion. Throughout the course of the summer, Eric and Jessica continued to build their relationship as co-parents, attending important meetings and events together, all in the name of fostering their children's growth. Their partnership evidenced the journey they had undertaken. Eric recognized that they shared a deeper understanding of their roles. One warm evening after a summer camp meeting wrapped up, Eric and Jessica found themselves lingering outside. The soft glow of lanterns illuminated their surroundings as the sounds of laughter and distant conversations drifted through the air. "Thank you for everything this summer," Jessica said lightly, her expression warm and genuine. "I feel like we've grown and achieved so much as a team." He nodded in agreement, feeling the lightness that suffused their shared experience. "We have, and I'm grateful to you for being such an important part of this journey." They spoke candidly, clearing the air of any lingering doubts, cross paths that once felt marked with tension, now evolving into a friendship built on trust. It felt refreshing to acknowledge their progress without the burden of the past, overshadowing bright moments shared for their children. As summer transitioned into autumn, the continuity of development, support, and laughter formed a buoyancy within their lives. Each interaction brought Eric closer to the realization that family shapes itself through love, kindness, and an unwavering commitment to growth, regardless of the past. Instead of his story concluding in darkness, it continued, Vibrant with possibilities, he had learned how to rise above the fractures life had imposed, transforming in the presence of some of life's harshest truths, but ultimately realizing that these challenges could also serve to forge deeper connections that would grow and blossom into beauty. With every new season, Eric embraced the potential for transformation, weaving the fabric of his life to create a tapestry that glimmered with hope, love, and resilience, forever anchored in the purest of intentions. As summer eased into a vibrant fall, the air crisp with anticipation, Eric Thompson found himself reflecting on the profound changes that had shaped his life over the past year. He often took moments to breathe in the fresh autumn air, appreciating how transformed his world had become. The laughter of his children echoed around him, a soundtrack of joy that resonated deeply with his heart. At the start of the new school year, Jake and Emily resumed their academic routines, determination blazing in their eyes. Eric had been diligent, reinforcing their study habits and immersing himself in their educational pursuits. Evenings were filled with tinkering on science projects, diving into books, and unpacking the complexities of math problems together. However, this time, Jessica also joined in on the activities, seamlessly integrating into their routine. Math is all about patterns, Eric explained during a particularly challenging homework session, his own voice laden with enthusiasm. See how we can use these patterns to solve equations? Emily furrowed her brow, her eyes darting between the pages and her father's encouraging expression. Can we tackle it together? Like a team? Absolutely. Teamwork makes everything easier, Eric replied, feeling a swell of pride. Just as he wanted them to embrace collaboration academically, he and Jessica worked consciously to model that same teamwork in their co-parenting journey. As the weeks progressed, news of their cooperative parenting spread through the community, instigating a newfound respect for their unconventional family dynamic. Neighbors and friends began reaching out, noting how clearly focused they were on their children's happiness. Some even sought Eric's advice on managing their own challenging co-parenting arrangements, an accidental role model forged through resilience. One Friday evening at a local parent-teacher meeting, Eric and Jessica found themselves side by side, seated in those familiar plastic chairs, their shared discussions centered around educational goals. But as the meeting progressed, Eric noticed a shift. The casual ease between them was no longer merely professional. It had evolved into a genuine camaraderie. Remember when we used to discuss school projects over coffee? Jessica mused, a small smile playing on her lips. We had really great discussions back then. Yeah, we did. It feels good to be in the same circle again, Eric acknowledged, appreciating the warmth that accompanied their conversation now, free from past grievances. The night culminated with a spirited display of parental engagement, setting the stage for a supportive community centered around the kids' achievements. When they left, the crisp night air held an added sense of satisfaction, a commitment to nurturing their children through every facet, forming a bridge to coexist amicably. While peace reigned in their unified efforts, there were still moments of unraveling insecurities. Eric occasionally found himself grappling with the whispers of doubt. Visions of Jessica and Jason would flank his mind during the quiet moments, fears of old patterns resurfacing, or the reliance on past scars threatening to overshadow progress. But each time this happened, he reminded himself of the strides they had made. He had witnessed Jessica grow more self-aware and resolute, openly communicating her feelings and embracing opportunities that encouraged healing. Her newfound transparency presented an unexpected opportunity for them to explore the possibility of friendship, an alliance strengthened through shared goals for their children. As Halloween approached, an air of celebration descended upon the community. Eric had already begun his plans to create another memorable evening with his kids, orchestrating decorations and gathering treats, all while inviting friends, family, and Jessica to join in on the fun. I want to make it bigger than last year, Jake proclaimed, his eyes sparkling in anticipation. More games, more candy, and more spookiness, Emily chimed in, her creative spirit worming its way into their plans. With their help, they transformed their last-minute house decor into an autumnal wonderland. Cobwebs adorned in the corners of every room hinted at playful frights, jack-o'-lanterns glowed with childlike warmth, and towering skeletons watched over the festivities like guardians of the night. The atmosphere thrummed with excitement as Halloween night approached, bubbling with anticipation. Cordial ghosts and scarecrows from neighboring homes wandered to join in the frightful cheer, a testament to the deepening ties forming around them, indicating how they had managed to weave bonds even between parents once caught in a web of betrayal. Eric threw open the door a little before sunset to reveal a gathering of happy faces clad in costumes. Jessica stood nearby, adding staggering colors to the majestic leafy backdrop. She looked radiant, embodying a whimsical witch complete with a pointy hat, her laughter mixing seamlessly with the soundtrack of joy resonating throughout the space. As the evening unfurled, Eric found solace in watching his children take part in the festivities. Games designed to create laughter rang throughout the house. Pumpkin carving stations yielded beautiful masterpieces, and delighted screams echoed from hayrides in the yard. When they gathered for the unofficial costume contest, Eric served as the adjudicator. The kids presented their costumes with infectious zeal, aiming for their parents' approval. Next up, we have our very own Captain Awesome, he announced, discretion aside as Jake strutted across the living room, earning roaring applause. Then Jessica joined in, using her motherly charm as she presented Emily, whose radiant fairy ensemble dazzled the crowd with twinkling lights woven into her wings. The evening climaxed with a sense of unity. Parents joined hands and laughter floated freely, lessons tucked into every interaction. After the last treat had been devoured and the children settled down for the night, Eric found a quiet moment with Jessica on the front porch. "Tonight was amazing," he remarked, feeling buoyed by the joy that had permeated their gathering. "It truly was. You've done a fantastic job bringing everything together," she replied, genuine warmth coloring her tone. As the stars twinkled above, a silent acknowledgement passed between them, an understanding founded on forgiveness, acceptance, and cooperative parenting. No longer were they the protagonists of a fractured tale. They had crafted something uniquely theirs from the remnants of their relationship. For Eric, every shared day, every laughter marked the evolution of trust. He saw in Jessica a partner in the relentless pursuit of happiness, a woman capable of taking ownership of her past while simultaneously nurturing their family's present and future. As the season began to change again, Eric reveled in the hope of new beginnings. This chapter of their lives would continue to unfold, and he could hardly wait to see what adventures awaited them next. Through challenges, bonding moments, and evolving roles as co-parents, Eric understood that resilience and growth were at the heart of it all. Each step forward cloaked in love, patience, and the undeniable strength of family. This lesson in forgiveness had become the backbone of their narrative. And as winter approached once more, Eric looked forward to embracing all the unimaginable possibilities that lay ahead, a newfound sense of peace enveloping his heart, radiant like the warm glow of the hearth that welcomed any seeking refuge from the chill of life's uncertainties.